Duntulm, right up at the north end of the island, and spectacular scenery. Wow! And it's here that, guess what? I dye my hair. I don't dye my hair. And know what? It's here that I'm going to continue the Bonnie Prince Charlie story. Oh, yeah, right. Anyway, he says goodbye to Flora and goes off to Ratsay, where he stays with the MacLeods and has a bit of a nosh. Very nice. And then he comes back to Skye, where he stays with the McKinnons, and he has a bit of a nosh with them as well, in a cave, which is now known as the Prince's Cave. Big banquet, bye-bye Charlie. I'm going to pause his story just there and go to Duntulm Castle up there, once a stronghold of the MacDonalds. Hey, in the 1600s there was this pirate called Hugh Gillespie. Sounds like a tennis player, but he was a pirate. And he tried to trick the laird of the MacDonalds. Bad move, because the laird locked him in a cave with a bit of salted beef and an empty jug of water. Not surprisingly, the pirate died. In the 1700s, there was a nurse up there with a little baby, and it slipped out of the window by accident and fell to its death on the rocks. Very, very sad. Since then, the castle has been empty and has fallen into wrack and ruin. Now, another MacDonald, Flora MacDonald, what happened to her? Well, she got arrested about a week after Charlie went, taken to the Tower of London, and kept there for about a year. Eventually freed, came up here, met a local lad, married him, had 7 kids, emigrated to America, and then came back to Skye, where she died. And she's buried just down the road, actually. She's supposed to be wrapped in the sheets that Bonnie Prince Charlie once slept in. Bit dodgy, that. As for Chaz, well, his story wasn't quite so happy. He went off to Europe, drank himself stupid, mistreated a load of mistresses, and then, when he was fat at 52, he married a 19-year-old with the intention of giving Scotland an heir to the throne. Failed, she left him, and he died in the arms of his illegitimate daughter. Finished. Can I just speak to you about being dressed as a tree? Because, you see, don't look surprised. You know very well you're covered in it. Charlie never disguised himself as a tree. It wouldn't have worked, because you've just walked 300 yards, and trees don't walk. What? You're a silver lurch. Very good. I don't dye my hair. If you're going to talk about the MacDonalds, as we just were, you have to come to Armadale Castle and Gardens. This place was once the seat of the High Chief of Clan Donald. And what a seat was. Not bad, eh? Still a beautiful gaff. Why were the MacDonalds so powerful, I hear you ask? You weren't going to ask that. You were not. You'd never have asked it in a month of Sundays. In order to answer it, you have to go back to when King Olaf of Norway was controlling all of these lands. And in Ireland, you had the High Kings. King Olaf's daughter, Ragnhilda, married an ancestor of the High Kings, Somerled. And they had children. In fact, they had 3 boys. They had Dougal, they had Ranald, and they had Angus. Their children became MacDougal, MacRanald. Mac Angus means son of, right? MacRanald's son was Donald. MacDonald were his descendants. They became the Lords of the Isles. Now, the Lord of the Isles was basically someone who controlled a huge area. We're talking about County Antrim in Northern Ireland, to the Isle of Man, to Scotland, right the way across to Inverness, back over here to the Inner Hebrides and the Outer Hebrides. Huge power! The king, it's not there. The King of Scotland, beginning of the 1600s, said, I'm a bit worried about the MacDonalds. I mean, they've got a lot of power. So he made them sign a treaty. All of the chiefs signed a treaty that basically took away their power. Now, with the MacDonalds' power taken away, there was a huge vacuum, and all the clans started to fight for bits of land and power bases. That's what all the pan scrapping in Scotland was all about.